Hello. Well, after doing the first couple of videos for that, the fingerless gloves, I realized that I felt a little bit bad that I was just kind of diving into it without any kind of tutorial about knitting in the round on double-pointed needles. So I'm going to do a quick one for you now. I'm going to use super thick double-pointed needles and some chunky yarn. I apologize in advance because these bad boys are a little bit noisy. And I'm going to use a long tail cast on. I have no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just going to cast on a random number and start knitting in the round so you can see how I do it. I'm going to use long tail cast on. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but you'll see how I do it. Basically, you are going to cast on all on one needle. And if you run out of room, then transfer some stitches over to another needle. But generally, if you just cast on all on one needle, it'll be a lot cleaner. It'll look nicer and it'll be easier. And you don't have to deal with all these hanging DPNs. Long tail is definitely one of my favorite cast-ons, seconded probably by provisional, for varying reasons. I like long tail because it's elastic, it's easy, and it's fast. Let's see, 5. Okay. So basically, I should probably tell you what I'm doing. Haha. So, alright, I have these cast-on stitches, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer them to 2 other needles. You'll notice in the glove tutorial I'm using 4 to 5 needles. In this case, at this small of an example, 3 is sufficient. I definitely am not shy with my use of double-pointed needles. You don't want to stuff too many stitches on one needle because you'll put too much stress on the stitches on the end. And, oh, that's my cat in the corner. Haha. Well, if you'll put on too much stress on the stitches, then you'll run a chance of getting ladders. So, but for this is fine. Alright. Like I said, there is no rhyme or reason to this particular tutorial. I'm just casting on a arbitrary amount and I'm done with it. Alright, so I have my stitches casted on. Let me move this down so you can see it. Now the important thing is this seam here, this beginning casted on row, you want to make sure that it is straight. When you're getting ready just to knit that first stitch to close the circle, if this is twisted, your work will be twisted and you'll have to start all over again. Unless, of course, you want that, then by all means carry on. So here it's easy to figure out. Larger projects, you definitely want to be a little bit more observant, because there's nothing quite like casting on 210 stitches and having to do it again. So, okay, so what I'm going to do, alright, I'm going to slide these stitches down. Alright, basically, these 2 needles I'm ignoring. This is my working yarn, just like regular non-knitting in the round. So I'm going to take my working needle, I'm going to stick it through my first stitch. Oh, a little bit tight there, weren't I? And then pull it through. Man, I was tight on that cast on, wasn't I? Alright, then that's it. You're now knitting in the round. basically all you do is this. Now, of course, in the example, the first video example of the glove, if this were the cuff, you would knit 2, then you would purl 2. And basically, if you cast on the correct amount of stitches, those kind of pile up on each other, and you'll get that nice rib. But you can see, I'm not doing a thing with the other needles. It's just the working needle and the needle that I'm working from. See? This is not complicated. It just looks it, and you can start naming your projects Ninja Death Socks or Ninja Death Mittens or whatever. Oh, and I definitely encourage you taking this out in public and doing, because honestly, it's pure comic gold seeing the look on people's faces when you're knitting with a deadly weapon. It's absolutely great. I definitely encourage anybody to do it. Alright, let me just finish this needle. And we'll be done. You can see beginnings of knitting it around on double pointed needles. It really isn't anything to be afraid of, and honestly, if I can do this tutorial online looking not overly graceful while doing it, you can certainly tackle it on your own. It's definitely kind of a fun skill to learn. So there you go, knitting it around on double pointed needles.